An exotic pet is a rare or unusual animal pet, or an animal kept within human households which is generally thought of as a wild species not typically kept as a pet. Definition: commonly, the definition is an evolving one. Some rodents, reptiles, and amphibians have become firmly enough established in the world of animal fancy to no longer be considered exotic. Sometimes any unique or wild-looking pet is called an exotic pet. Specifically, exotic refers to a species which is not native or indigenous to the owner's locale. And pet is a companion animal living with people. However, many misuse the term to include native species as well. Therefore, the American College of Zoological Medicine has defined the group as zoological companion animals. Legally, the definition is subject to local jurisdiction, but is defined federally in the U.S., in part, an animal that is native to a foreign country or of foreign origin or character, is not native to the United States, or was introduced from abroad. However, the term pet excludes exotic animals and wild animals. Animals kept as exotic pets primates equals. It has been estimated that as many as 15,000 non-human primates are kept by private individuals as pets in the United States. 9 states ban the keeping of non-human primates, but no federal law regulates ownership. In 1975, the Center for Disease Control prohibited their import into the U.S. for use as pets. The breeding industry uses descendants of animals imported before 1975. Non-human primates of various species, including those listed as endangered, such as cotton-top tamarins, baboons, chimpanzees, Diana monkeys, lemurs and gibbons are still available for purchase in the U.S., although due to captive breeding, this does not affect wild populations. For example, chimpanzees are popular in some areas despite their strength, aggression, and wild nature. Even in areas where keeping non-human primates as pets are illegal, the exotic pet trade continues to prosper and some people keep chimpanzees as pets mistakenly believing that they will bond with them for life. As they grow, so do their strength and aggression. Some owners and others interacting with the animals have lost fingers and suffered severe facial damage among other injuries sustained in attacks. Many professionals, including veterinarians, zoologists, humane societies and others, strongly discourage the keeping of non-human primates as pets, as their complex emotional and social needs and other highly specialized requirements may be difficult to meet by the average owner. Although the breeding population has been largely isolated from wild populations outside the U.S., they still have the potential to transmit zoonotic disease. There is a considerable risk of monkey bee virus from rhesus macaques. Research workers have died from this disease contracted from non-human primate research subjects. Additionally, there is considerable risk to the non-human primate pet through transmission of human disease. One such example is herpes simplex virus, which can be deadly to certain smaller monkeys. Issues The Convention on the International Trade in Endangered Species of Wild Flora and Fauna, or CITES, moderates the trade of some exotic pets around the world, to prevent any threats to their survival and ecological damage. Certain animals may be strictly regulated or restricted outright due to both their conservation status, as well as the possibility of the animal becoming an invasive species. In some cases laws are circumvented by breeding the animals in captivity. The USDA issues permits for keeping and breeding certain exotic species, whether captured from the wild or bred. In the United States, for example, it is illegal to import non-human primates for the pet trade, but a flourishing breeding industry exists, using animals descended from those brought in legally before the ban was enacted. In 2003, the U.S. Captive Wild Animal Safety Act became law and in September 2007 the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service enacted rules to enforce the CWASA. The law now bans the sale or transport of big cats, which includes lions, tigers, leopards, jaguars, cougars, snow leopards, clouded leopards, cheetahs and their hybrids across state lines for the pet trade. As of November 2010, most U.S. states forbid or regulate the possession of exotic pets, but 9 states have no license or permit requirements. Impact on the world. The trade in exotic pets has been known to drive the destruction and extinction of animals in the wild. However, with captive breeding exotic animals becoming more prevalent, fewer and fewer animals are being captured from the wild. Health. Veterinary costs for treatment of exotic animals may be significantly higher than for a more conventional pet, owing to the increased specialization required. Some wild animals are known to carry or contract diseases that can affect humans, such as salmonellosis and rabies, though any animal born in captivity does not carry any of these diseases, contrary to popular belief and despite their species. Similarly, some human diseases can be dangerous for certain animals. The American Veterinary Medical Association, the U.S. Department of Agriculture, the National Animal Control Association, the American Zoo and Aquarium Association and the CDC all discourage the private ownership of certain exotic animals. Though animals who are captive bred in the United States have no risk of contracting any harmful disease as they are not exposed to it in any way. In the UK, where exotic pet ownership is high, voluntary organisations such as SEEP are taking unwanted, ill or lost exotic animals to nurse them back to full health before rehoming them. Husbandry. Providing appropriate environmental conditions, housing and diet for an exotic animal may be difficult for several reasons. Insufficient information may be available on caring for such animals in captivity, adequate housing may be difficult and or expensive to procure or build, it may be difficult to provide the correct environment, feeding the correct diet may be difficult or impossible, providing the right social environment for highly social species may be impossible in a home setting, licensing may be required for the owning or breeding of some exotic animals, however, captive care and husbandry information for many commonly kept amphibians, reptiles, birds, and small exotic mammals are widely available through literature, animal enthusiast groups, and internet websites and discussion forums. Domestication. Unlike commonly domesticated pets, exotic animals retain their wild nature. Even if they are bred for the pet trade and raised by humans, they may be unpredictable, relatively resistant to training. In some cases, especially as full-grown adults, they can be dangerous. The only exception on this list is the tamed silver fox and the ferret. Injuries to humans may be relatively common, but reported yearly deaths due to exotic pet ownership are rare. Statistics compiled by an advocacy organization indicate a yearly average of less than 3.5 fatalities per year in the United States. And another lists 77 exotic animal incidents resulting in human death from June 20, 1990 to October 2, 2012. See also, wildlife smuggling. References. External links: American College of Zoological Medicine certifies veterinary specialists in zoological medicine, which includes zoological companion species. Association of Exotic Mammal Veterinarians, U.S. and International Database of Exotic Mammal Veterinarians, Wild and Dangerous, The World of Exotic Pets.